Anger isn't strength. Here's the reset. You think your rage makes you powerful. You think that fire in your chest means you're alive, that you're fighting back, that you're not taking anyone's shit. Wrong. Dead wrong. That anger you're nursing like a wounded animal. It's making you weak. It's making you stupid. And Seneca, a man who lived 2,000 years ago, already figured out what you're too blind to see. Seneca wasn't some monk sitting on a mountain. He was an advisor to Nero, one of Rome's most psychotic emperors. He dealt with backstabbing politicians, murderous plots, and enough drama to make your worst day look like a picnic. And through all that chaos, he maintained stoic calm, not because he was soft, because he understood something you don't. Anger is the ultimate self-sabotage. Here's what anger actually does to you. It hijacks your brain. The moment that red mist descends, your prefrontal cortex, the part that makes you human instead of a rabid dog, goes offline. You literally become dumber. Your decision-making turns to garbage. Your words become weapons you can't take back. Your actions become mistakes you'll spend years trying to fix. That's not a strength. That's voluntary brain damage. Seneca called anger brief madness. Think about that. Madness. You wouldn't voluntarily make yourself insane, would you? But that's exactly what you do every time you let anger take the wheel. You hand over control of your life to the most primitive, destructive part of your brain, the part that doesn't care about consequences, relationships, or your future. The part that just wants to burn everything down. The brutal truth about anger management isn't that you need to count to 10 or take deep breaths. Those are band-aids on a severed artery. The brutal truth is that you need to fundamentally rewire how you see the world. Seneca's approach wasn't about suppression. It was about perspective. He understood that anger comes from failed expectations. You expect people to act a certain way. They don't. You expect life to be fair. It isn't. You expect respect, recognition, and justice. You get disappointment instead. And that gap between expectation and reality, that's where anger breeds like bacteria in a wound. So what's the fix? First, you need to accept a hard truth: the world owes you nothing. Absolutely nothing. Not respect, not fairness, not success. The universe doesn't care about your feelings. People will disappoint you. They will betray you. They will fail you. Not because they're evil, but because they're human, just like you fail others, just like you disappoint people. Once you truly accept this, anger loses its fuel. You can't be angry about something you never expected in the first place. Seneca practiced what he called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Every morning, he'd imagine losing everything: his wealth gone, his position stripped away, his friends turned into enemies, his life ended. Not because he was pessimistic, but because he was preparing his mind. When you've already imagined the worst, reality rarely surprises you. And without surprise, there's no shock. Without shock, there's no anger. This isn't about becoming a doormat. Seneca wasn't passive. When action was needed, he acted. But he acted from a place of stoic calm, not emotional chaos. There's a massive difference between responding and reacting. Reaction is instant, emotional, and usually destructive. Response is measured, rational, and effective. Anger makes you reactive. Stoicism makes you responsive. Think about the last time anger really worked for you. Not the temporary high of telling someone off. Not the brief satisfaction of slamming a door. When did anger actually solve a problem? When did it make a situation better? When did it strengthen a relationship or advance your goals? Never. Because anger doesn't solve problems. It creates them. It doesn't build, it destroys. Seneca understood that anger is fundamentally about control, or rather, the illusion of control. You get angry because something happens that you don't like and can't change. But here's the thing: you never had control in the first place. You can't control other people. You can't control events. You can't control outcomes. The only thing you can control is your response. And anger, that's you giving up even that small bit of control you actually have. The Stoics had a concept called the dichotomy of control. There are things within your control: your thoughts, your actions, your responses. And there are things outside your control, everything else. Other people's actions, natural disasters, the past, the future, death, disease, fortune, misfortune. Anger happens when you try to control the uncontrollable. It's like getting furious at gravity for making things fall, pointless and exhausting. Here's where Seneca gets really brutal with the truth. He points out that anger isn't just useless, it's cowardly. It's the emotional equivalent of a child's tantrum. When a toddler doesn't get what they want, they scream and throw things. When an adult doesn't get what they want, they do the same thing, just with more sophisticated vocabulary. But it's the same fundamental weakness, the inability to accept reality. Real strength isn't in your ability to intimidate or destroy. Real strength is in your ability to remain calm when everything around you is chaos, to think clearly when others are losing their minds, to act decisively when others are paralyzed by emotion. That's not just philosophical theory. That's practical power. The person who maintains stoic calm in a crisis becomes the leader. The one who keeps their head when others lose theirs becomes the one others turn to. Seneca lived this truth. When Nero ordered him to kill himself, the ultimate test of his philosophy, Seneca faced death with the same stoic calm. He preached no anger at the injustice, no rage at his fate, just acceptance and dignity. That's not a weakness. That's the ultimate strength, the ability to maintain your principles even when facing death. But you don't need to face death to apply these principles. Start with the small things. The traffic jam that makes you late. The coworker who takes credit for your work. The partner who forgets your anniversary. These are your training grounds. Each irritation is an opportunity to practice stoic calm. Each provocation is a chance to choose response over reaction. The process is simple but not easy. When you feel anger rising, stop. Don't count to 10. Don't take deep breaths. Ask yourself one question. What can I actually control here? Usually, the answer is only your own response. Then ask, what response will actually improve this situation? Anger is never the answer to that question. Never. This isn't about becoming emotionless. Seneca felt things deeply. But he understood the difference between feeling and being controlled by feelings. You can acknowledge anger without letting it drive your actions. You can recognize injustice without letting rage cloud your judgment. You can feel hurt without lashing out. The emotion isn't the problem. Your slavery to it is. The brutal fix that works isn't complicated. It's just hard. Stop expecting the world to be different from what it is. Stop trying to control what you can't. Stop letting temporary emotions make permanent decisions. Stop confusing anger with strength when it's actually your greatest weakness. Start seeing clearly. Start responding instead of reacting. Start taking responsibility for the only thing you can control, yourself. Seneca's approach to anger management isn't gentle. It's not about self-care or positive affirmations. It's about facing reality with unflinching honesty. It's about admitting that your anger has never served you well. It's about acknowledging that every time you've acted in anger, you've made things worse. It's about accepting that the world is exactly as it is, not as you wish it were. This is the reset you need. Not because it feels good, it doesn't. Not because it's easy, it's not. But because it works. When you stop wasting energy on anger, you have energy for action. When you stop clouding your mind with rage, you can think clearly. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you can focus on what you can actually change. That's not just anger management. That's life management. That's the difference between being driven by your emotions and driving your own life. Choose wisely. Your future depends on it.